headphones here, guys. Well. I think I have audio. Do you have audio?
I believe I should. Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, yeah. We'll make sure you're a little... Go ahead and talk again there for the audience.
All right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, they got you. I just had to turn you up a little bit. It's all good.
All right.
Well, sorry guys for the... It wouldn't be a Devin the Gamer without a little bit of shit show in there. So, you know, go YouTube, monetize that. I don't have enough viewers for the monetization to happen, so we can be a little fast and loose in our intro. It's not a big deal in regards to that. Make sure the audio is good for you guys. Speak up if there's any sort of problems. We would hate to do the whole entire podcast and have some issues. The blues in the chat, we're going to highlight them. Look at all the new features we got here.
Let's go.
So... man, I hope to see Yobi. I haven't seen Yobi in a while, so we'll see how that goes.
I called and left a message. He haven't got back with me yet, but because of the situation that happened with him and him trusting, you know how Yobi is very trusting with people and just want to help out the community, no matter with Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever. He's just one of those good people. And then to feel to get in that position to where somebody lied to him and then it took away from his hard-earned money. That I think he's going through it, thinking about, you know, just analyzing things a lot differently right now. But yeah, we wish him well. Much love to you, Yobi, man. Don't change your good spirit just because there's some rotten ass people out there in the world.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing is there are people that will take advantage of other people. And you know, and people are generous. I hate to say it, you have to be guarded. Like it's better to protect who you are as a nature of a person and have people earn that trust over time than the other way around. You only put as much stuff out there as you're willing to take the hits for. Right. If you're at the point, like that's why I tell people, like, if it compromises who you are, then you need to slow down in general. So sucks to hear that. You know, he's always busy and he hasn't, I haven't seen him around in a while, so I was hoping he was doing okay. So it sucks to hear that that's the case. So
that sucks to hear. But you know what I'm saying? But wish him well. You know what I'm saying, bro? I know brother's doing is busting his ass doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? But we got much love for Yobi. And like I said, I called and left a message just for the encouragement, to let him know, you know what I'm saying? He was on my mind and, you know, just chalk it up as a loss, lesson learned, and keep it moving. Keep your good spirits, man. And that's for anybody out there that does support people in this community. You know what I'm saying? Don't let anybody take away your light, because there's a lot of people out there that has a lot of animosity for people being good, and they don't want people to be good. They want them to be in just much despair as they are. But don't let people take your life.
No, not at all. Not at all. Well, that sucks to hear, but we're not going to put him on blast. We miss you. That's all it comes right down to it. It's not the same with that, yes. So as far as all that goes, and it doesn't have to do with you being generous or anything like that. Just showing up is awesome. So
yes sir.
So
all right, well, man, let's just get into it, man. There's a lot to cover. Of course, you know, it'll be a 5-6 hour podcast if we covered everything since the last time we did Devin the Gamer, but we're going to touch up on a couple of things. So
we have to do a marathon Devin the Gamer.
I know. You know,
that'd be cool. Did you do like a really long ass one, right?
Just a long ass, just Devin the Gamer. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, you know, try to jump in and do one of those, like, you know, how those people do those, you know, they fight for cancer or for, you know, some kind of disease.
So donations like that. And all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. To help out, you know, those in need. Yeah. Maybe see if we could try to do that sometimes.
We'll coordinate.
We can do some talking.
We can do one on your channel. We'll do one on my channel. And let's hey guys,
let's brainstorm.
Me and Megan are a bunch of boomers when it comes to all the charity stuff. So like, help us out in regards to that. In regards to that, we'll do a charity that Mega, it's important to Mega. on his channel, and we'll do it live on his channel, and then we'll do one where it's live on my channel. In regards, I just want the view hours. I don't really care about anything monetize wise. I'd rather have, if I can have the money go to somewhere else or something else that helps out. That'd be awesome.
That man said, "I want them hours.
I want those hours." Oh man, I want to get to the point where I have more people subscribed than videos I've made, but I don't know if that math works out on YouTube.
It will happen. It will happen, man. It's just trying to get that algorithm, man. It's just it's wacky, but yeah, no, we'll you know what I'm saying. But it's also with consistency, something that I am definitely not good at. But
HTOs, I see you.
Yes. But yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff going on. And first off, I mean, one of the things that we was planning on trying to do Devin the Gamer last week, just couldn't, time constraints, just couldn't do it. But I guess we should just start off on the ABK deal. Let's just get on to it. Let's get to the nitty gritty, man. Because I mean, I want to hear your thoughts about it. I know we've talked about it extensively. Just when we first heard about it, damn near almost a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. But and your thing was always about like, yes, this would be magnificent for Microsoft or for Xbox, but there's a lot of red tape that comes with this because of the magnitude of how big this company is and of the baggage that it carries. So now, since this deal is now officially done, we'll get to the gaming aspect of it here later. Your thoughts about the situation that is happening within, like behind closed doors with the situation with Bobby Kotick, which he's already going to be gone by the end of the year. Mike Ibarra, Rod Ferguson, and Lulu and them, they are they're coming to Xbox. But the bad element that you were talking about that is still present in Activision, how long do you think that will take for them to get that out? And what and will they ever get that? And will that change? And will Xbox themselves be different as a whole since adding Activision into its fold?
I don't know if they'll be able to do it. And I say this because I haven't seen that ever been cleared out at any company inside the gaming industry. Once that rot sets, and I don't want to get politically, but like, like a lot of times when somebody does misconduct in one way, right? Mm-hmm. And then you try to squash that, and then also misconduct shows itself in a different way down the road, because you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to, make sure there's not victims in the workplace, but we're also trying to, make sure it's fair for everyone as well. And I think the nature of humans, just in general, is what can I do to get ahead? And sometimes it's motivated by power, not even money, right? And so that power dynamic is the root of their issues. It's the root of their problems, right? Because you're going to see that manifest itself in all sorts of different ways over time. I mean, I've experienced it, on the opposite side, working in an industry of, like people getting offended because I said my wife in the workplace. Right? You're like,
that's crazy.
Like what? My boss over me at the time was asking what I was going to do on Sunday. I said I was going to go to church with my wife. That's all I said, and I had to have an HR meeting because of it.
Right.
So, because they were offended, just full disclosure, they're offended because they thought marriage was no longer for different sex couples anymore. That's offensive. And it was offensive that I was going to church on Sunday. This is a real life experience. I actually had to get lawyers involved. They wanted me to sign paperwork. Fuck off.
That's wild.
Fuck off.
That's wild.
Like I'm not here to be nice to other people. so that you can turn around and do that shit, right? But the thing is, it's a power dynamic, right? It's a power issue where somebody sees a way they can hold something over somebody else. You can see where I'm kind of going at that, and that's what's at the root of its culture. I think people are looking at the sexual misconduct, which is awful. They're looking at the harassment type stuff, which is awful. But on the flip side, people will use those situations to gain power. And so it's not trying to discredit the people that have gone through real turmoil in the workplace, but there's almost an equal proportionate amount of misclaims as real claims. And how do you sort that shit out? I don't know. It's a giant mess. It's something I'm, like at this point, I don't want ever to work under the same roof of a place anymore, because I don't want to be around that shit. It's everywhere these days, and it's everywhere in, it's so prevalent in California companies as a whole. It's so prevalent in companies up in Washington, and it's just the tech sector. It's not just gaming, just tech in general. And so I think the people at Microsoft have the best intentions, but I don't think they'd be able to execute on it. And that's where I'm a little bit concerned. And then so when let's say if you can clear it all out, what do you have left?
I don't know. For me, you know how I am. I mean, everybody should be, inclusion for everybody, anything, doesn't matter, unless it's nothing that has to do with, children or old people where you're doing something bad to those entities. But like, same-sex marriage, all that other stuff, I'm all for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's their business.
That's the same thing. Yeah. Just do your shit. Don't care.
Yeah, just do your shit. Don't care. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. That is wild. I mean, I get it, you know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't want to work in that environment either, because of the fact of, listen, not everything should be put in a position to where you got to feel like you got to tippy toe around certain other people if they don't believe in what you believe, or if you have a different type of lifestyle that isn't to them look like it's quality or the end thing or anything like that. I think that's just really ridiculous, and that stuff shouldn't even be in the workplace. Period. That's,
ideologies.
That stuff just yeah. Like that's to me that's wild. But
I mean, ideology is something you can't prove, right? But at your core, you believe what it is.
Right.
Like that. That feels very real to you, but you still have to interact in a work environment that's respectful to everybody.
That's for everybody, right? Right. And
that's not what's happening now, right? It's evolving into the other, and it's pushing out other talent in the industry. I see this all the time. I mean, a lot of times the industry likes to talk about minority groups and how we want representation and all that sort of stuff. But how they go about it, I can tell you a number of good friends that are minorities that say, I feel like my work is being undermined because I don't know if it's based on my talent or the way I look. And that's common. And that's a real issue. How do you handle that? How do you handle that?
As a person who's handled that personally, you just do your work. And you just prove that, look, if you think that you just gave me a handout, I'm going to prove you this isn't a handout. I can do the work just as effective as anybody else. I mean, like, I've had to deal with that personally. Like, again, where you're at in a part of the country and where I'm at in a part of the country are totally two different things. So how you feel about certain things is how I feel. That's what makes our dynamic or our friendship so unique. Well, because there's a lot of people that, with the way the climate is, they can't get along.
Well, and part of what I'm talking about is from my experience of living in places like California. The majority of my life, I've lived out there, right? Like, it's creeping up to where Utah is almost equal. But what I'm saying is it's a power dynamic issue. If you get where I'm going with that, like, people have the best intentions, right? You're right. That is the answer. Like, the way you look has nothing to do with your performance. Shouldn't.
No.
You know, you either do it or you don't, right? And you know, that's how it should be. But how do you constantly reinforce that when you're in a workplace where it undermines that? And it undermines it from a leadership standpoint.
Slope,
yeah, right. It undermines it from a leadership perspective where they, you know, so that's what I'm saying. Like, it goes much deeper than just the claims you see. I hear constant complaints about Activision. It hasn't slowed down in general. Now, I'm giving these examples on one side, but there's also the examples of people saying, yeah, I still feel sexually harassed in the workplace. I hear it all the time. And what drives me nuts is you have media outlets that they say they're gaming media, but they're not investigating any of this.
Oh no, the gaming media is trash. The gaming media is absolute trash.
Yeah, so
for the most part. So there's some that's out there that does the work, but for the most part, it is absolutely it's ass. It's pitiful.
So that's my point. So at its core, I think it's rotten. Mm-hmm. They're talented people there. Like, there's people that are lost in the ether. They're really good people. They're talented, but there's a overwhelming chunk of it that's not healthy. And then what happens is when you cut out one thing, it just evolves into something else, and it creates that weird power dynamic, and you know, this weird undermining. And like, at the end of the day, I think everybody just wants to go to the workplace and not care about all that shit. I don't care about your religion. I don't care about.
But there's people that really want to poke the bear on occasion to try to be spiteful on each end of it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It
and
is
both
crazy.
those people,
So,
they go kick rocks. As far as I'm concerned, they're not welcome in the workplace, right? Like, in my view. But that's the problem, is there's a huge chunk of that stuff on either side, and I just, like, I don't know how you even remotely clean that up. I don't think Microsoft's equipped for that. I don't think they. I mean, shit. I mean, you saw what happened with Mixer.
Oh yeah. But see, again, this is another, and we've had this discussion, right? Like, beforehand about, and I think one thing, it's going to be one of those things that's a give and take, because I think that the union situation helps, but then in other cases it might not, because of the fact that a lot of these employees all these employees will be unionized. It's going to be a harder. Not all.
It's a voluntary thing, because like certain places, if you work, you have to sign up for unions, otherwise you can't work.
Well,
under there.
My point is,
but certain places, like in this case, it's optional. It's an optional thing. Okay. You can opt in. I think that's how it works. So
okay, but regardless, if you're unionized, it's a lot harder to get fired than it is for you if you're not union, right? But the one thing on this is that, like, I think if Microsoft implements strict rules on, look, if you violate this, it doesn't matter if you're with a union or not, you violate these rules, you're out of here. And if they have to sign that paper, those documents, then they have no standing, regardless if they're in a union or not. Now, again,
that's true.
The thing now, if they are in a situation to where they are, with the crunch and all that stuff, I think that is definitely necessary. I know that how you feel, how I feel about it, because I mean, for me, when I was working before I got hurt, I'm putting in anywhere from 12 to 16 hours a day, sometimes 6 days a week. So when somebody talk about crunch, I'm like, okay, well, all right, I get it. I don't like it either, but you know what? I got to pay the bills. So when you hear people that say, look, man, this is, and it's a different type of stress level working in that type of environment than it is in maybe, you truck driving, or if you're doing mixing, mixer driver like I was, and a truck driver at the same time, or whatever the case may be, right? But it's still a level of stress. And you don't want to be overworked or overexerted, because you can't perform on the same level as you could as if you're fresh.
Well,
and so those things are needed.
But you also run into a challenge with that, is you're getting a younger group of people coming in that just don't have the same level of talent as the ones that created everything.
Or gun ho, or work ethic.
Work ethic, and that's part of it too. Because who made it early on in the industry. Full disclosure, are the people not that just go to school. There's people that go to school that didn't have a clear career path to become a game developer because they didn't have that for colleges at the time. And then they also had to put another 10 to 15 hours plus doing a full load in order to chase after their dreams. Well, they carried that work ethic over. Now you have a whole generation of people that you just do this, and this is your homework, and we have good job placement, and we'll get you into something. Well, guess what? The people that want to work hard are still going to want to work hard. What are you going to do? You going to push them out? Well, now you're not going to get any shit done on time. Now you're going to start having your coworkers be let go because you can't hit deadlines in regards to that. Union's not going to fix that shit. And then next thing you know, those talented people are going to go independent. And guess what? The quality of the independent stuff is going to come up in the next 4 or 5 years. To the point where you're going to see an independent developer and a AAA developer, and you're going to have a really hard time telling the difference. What are you going to do then? You can complete. Are you going to keep complaining about crunch when someone else is eating your lunch? Or are you going to step up?
Well, I don't know. The way that the climate is with the workforce, there will still complain. There will be people that will still complain about crunch. So that is just in the situation. I think the climate of where we are, and since we're older, we might not understand that. But I think that the dynamic is where. And listen, these people in Microsoft, I'm sure, I'm 100% positive that they analyzed every bit of this. And even though this is going to be really difficult for them, I think that they're well aware of the struggles that they got to go through. Now, again, for me, the inclusion aspect of what with not only with just people of color, like Black people or whatever, like inclusion needs to be in all different types of in the work environment, and it doesn't matter who they are, as long as, like you said, you just go to work, have a good time. If you can't get along with somebody, then the one thing to do is then you just move to a different department, or you just don't work there if you feel that violated or upset about the situation. But Microsoft has to instill the policies of like, look, women shall not get harassed, people should not be treated differently because of their race, and if you in the work structure of how they have to do things is different, because when the gaming media actually did look into it, they this come out, and most gamers out there don't feel that the game studios should be doing that to developers and things and contractors. Now, again, how I feel about it might be different, but Microsoft, they bought this, and so they have to figure it out. If they don't, then this is going to be the worst $69 billion investment ever. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they evaluated all of this.
It's not to say that all of it's going to be doom and gloom. I'm just saying, I just don't think they're equipped for this sort of thing. And until I'm proven wrong, that's going to be my stance. Okay. And the reality is, and it's not a knock on Microsoft.
Right.
I haven't seen any company in the tech sector. I'm not talking about games. I'm talking about the tech sector.
Right. You just talk about the sector as a whole.
As a whole, no one's been able to squash this. The environment has become more friction, more toxic in the workplace, and it should be a safe haven. It should be that. I mean, I don't care what someone's into outside of work, as long as it's legal, right? I don't care. I just don't care. I just want to work with talented people, right? And that's not what's happening right now. And Activision is a big company. I hope they can weed it out, but man, I just don't see them being able to do it. Like, that's the problem. I just don't see them be able to do it. Then again, we'll see. You mean, you know how I felt
Yeah,
about
I mean,
Activision for a long time. This is before
before
Microsoft bought them or anything like
before
that.
that was even talked about like that. Before that. I know that.
Yeah, so nothing's really changed from what I've seen. Like, you know, it's a different group of people that it just goes in waves. Certain people that people just they take advantage of other people because of power dynamics. That's the best way I can describe it. Does that make sense? Where people feel a little prideful, they get that power dynamic, and they, you know, try to squash one thing, and then it's like whack-a-mole. There's something else over there that's the problem. That, you know, because you're trying to so aggressively squash this in a very particular way, you end up with another problem over here. So all I hear is complaints in regards to that, and so I just don't know. I just don't know because, you know, the talented people just keep their head down and try to get out of there. So
yeah. So speaking of talented people, well, no, I mean, I guess we'll get to the Pete Hines things a little bit later.
Well, you want to talk about the benefits of the Activision deal?
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of people have been talking about
that.
That because we talked about the negative, but I do want to talk about the benefits.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're with everything, with all types of, I mean, I think Sony is understanding now the negatives and the positives of having Bungie. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we'll see more of those come. I think Marathon's going to be something special. How special? We don't know. We don't know if it's going to be anything in the realm of like Halo special, but I feel the Marathon's going to be special. Anything else that Bungie is over here doing, especially with what's going on with them, they got a lawsuit and all that stuff. I mean, Sony is understanding and going through their little personal hell right now, but they're a big corporation. They've been around for a long time. They should be able to handle it the best way that they can. But the positives of the acquisition, your thoughts, man? I mean, I see a lot of benefits for Xbox and for Microsoft as a whole. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I want to see them slow down on the Call of Duty thing. That's where I think if they do that, they can kind of cross over a lot of their talent to a lot of the Microsoft Studio stuff to really kind of nip a lot of things in the butt that there were a problem beforehand, right? Like, you know, we're going to talk about Halo, but the netcode still, it's awful. I mean, it plays fine, but the netcode is not great in regards to that. And, you know, it became more and more obvious as the time to kill went down on Halo, if that makes any sense, where like you were able to kind of work around that by having your time to kill to be longer. And now the time to kill is shorter. That netcode's got to be more tightened up, if you get where I'm going with that. So so the netcode needs to be better. Well, guess what? Guys that work on Call of Duty are pretty good at that shit. You know, that's you know those teams. I mean, they refined that over years and years and years. Matter of fact, they helped Bungie out with a bunch of stuff, right? So you relieve the pressure of a yearly release off that, right? You reallocate some of those talents to kind of clean up what their specialty is to be able to help out the other Microsoft studios. I think that's going to be huge in regards to that. Same thing with engine development. They have another engine underneath with this investment. I think they have a couple actually.
Yeah, they got a couple. Yeah,
you know, some are less commonly used than others, but you know, I think Microsoft should get into the engine licensing game for people. Because think about it, like if you worked on a Call of Duty, you move on to another studio, you know that engine inside and out. What happens when you're able to license it? Right? You'd be able to do something a little bit special.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a huge potential there in regards to that. And then as far as games as a service, you're going to see more of it, obviously, because of this. I don't think there's any shortage of games as a service with buying the Activision deal. I mean, that's kind of one of the major benefits of it there. And then I think there's a lot to be gained on, even though I don't want them to do a yearly Call of Duty, but you could kind of look at their pipeline and how they're producing games and see how they can help other studios with more streamlining their product development over iterations.
Yeah,
and I mean,
because
that'd be huge.
I never really paid attention of how many people work at Activision. So I mean, I know I could type it up and look it up, but but from when you were saying that, like, look, they can help out a lot of other studios, especially like, for instance, what you were saying with Halo, Infinite, like they have enough people that can be spread around to help out when they want to do those live service games and things of that nature. And then another thing to me, I look at the benefit of Activision is great at advertising. They are great at that. And I think that when you add that element with with Xbox getting better at advertising, I still feel like it's not what it was with the OG Xbox and the 360. I think though now when you add that talent, because I think that the advertising aspect goes a long way on public perception. I know that a lot of people, with the analytics and things like that, they think that, well, we just stick to just primarily online. I'm telling you, and I've said this, and for people who's always come on Devin the Gamer or listen to me on GRG, I stress this and I will continue to stress this. You need to put those ads in sporting events, major television events, even though their numbers might be down, like the Oscars, the Grammys, put out your stuff. But sporting events is, put it on Toonami, put it on time where you would think that there would be gamers there. And live events are the perfect place to do that. And because you know why I say that is because when I see those venues, or when I catch, when my wife is watching like the Grammys or something like that, which I don't give a damn about, but I see a Call of Duty commercial, I see an ad, I see something there, and I'm like, and you might think this is talking about movies or something like that. It doesn't matter. It's still the presentation of it to let people know about it. So I hope that what Activision does with their advertising resonates over to with the great Aaron Greenberg and that team, and just get it rolling, because I think though that is still missing to a degree. And in the case in point, all you got to do is look at that ad of when Microsoft acquired Activision, and they posted that little like 2-minute clip or a minute 50.
Yeah, welcome to the family sort of thing.
Welcome to the family. 25 to 30 million views. That type of stuff is important. And just think they posted that on a sporting event, like on Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, or just whatever. That's the type of stuff that I need to see. And I might hear some people say, well, I seen that ad in my region. I need to see that in every region. I need to see that here in Oklahoma. I need people to talk about it, that they seen it in California, or that they seen it in Iowa, or that they seen it in Nebraska, or they seen it in North Carolina. That's the type of stuff that I'm talking about. Have a far much more reach on that aspect. I really think Microsoft should do that, and that will boost sales for their console.
I don't know if they're going to do that.
I don't think they will. I don't know if they will.
I think that's going to be one of those divisions that may take a couple talented people and dissolve it. Because there's a lot of overlap. Because there's certain things there are overlap, right? They're acquiring the gaming talent and the games they have in production, and they're acquiring the franchises, right?
Yeah.
So that's essentially what they're inheriting for all their cash money. So it's interesting, for sure. But I hear you. I think a lot of gamers have said, like, get your marketing. It's nothing wrong with being forward thinking, but you need to be in the now a little bit more.
All right. I really do. I don't know. It's just been something that's the one thing if there's anything that I'm going to bitch about, and that's that. I just want to see more of them.
It's hard to argue against that point, though. I mean, like, because obviously they're successful. Yeah. Right? Like, I guarantee you the same people that go buy Madden, they buy Call of Duty.
Yes.
Right? If you get where I'm going with that.
Oh yeah, and NBA 2K, like those three of those, and FIFA, like those 4 games are all kind of synonymous with one another. Like that's why they're always in the top in the top 5 every year.
Yeah, they're evergreen content. They're the ones people plan on. You know, sometimes people critique that it's just another FIFA or just another Madden, just another 2K. But guess what? That's why people buy those hardware to play those games with their friends. Like that's the reality. And it's the same thing with, I think, Call of Duties and things like that. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm interested in see where all this kind of goes. I mean, like a lot of people,
I'm excited, man.
Talk about the Bungie and Activision previous engagement they had before, and Destiny 2 wouldn't have come out when it did if it weren't for Activision. There was all hands on deck. That you go look at, like, I don't know if they still have on the intro screens, because now obviously Bungie has done several updates since then. But if you look at the intro screens, you look at every single studio was involved with getting Destiny 2 out the door. There's quite a bit. I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping the Transformers games come to Game Pass.
Yes,
because whatchamacallit, is it Moon Studios? I can't remember the name. That worked on the War of Cybertron and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I played that game. It was fun as hell, and I just haven't got around to it. Like putting some serious time into it, and I know they were pulled off to go work on Destiny, and I haven't seen what they've been up to since then. I think they got folded into the Call of Duty machine, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, no, I speaking of that, like the stay going back into the positive, because I know they we kind of seem like we're kind of deciding like we're dooming and glooming this thing, but
no, there's negative. I have, and I don't think
there's negative and there's positives.
People are just not talking about the negatives that I have. They'd all think if like Bobby's gone, like all the problems go away. Like,
well, no, it's just too many people.
It starts with him. It starts with him.
It starts with him. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, and yeah, but it's different. But that right there is what makes this incredible to me. I said this yesterday on the crossover, was that the magnitude, like, it still blows my mind of how big this is game wise. Like, there's this whole, Microsoft Xbox already killed the narrative that Xbox has no games when they picked up ZeniMax, when they picked up Playground and Ninja Theory and Obsidian and
I
so
tweeted
forth.
about that.
Yeah,
you saw that, like, as a kind of a joke, right? Like, you know, like both sides, Sony and Xbox, both have quality games coming, and they also have some misses in regards to that. I'm not going to brush that off, but I put that little poll out there, and I forgot how many people engaged, but it was substantial more than I thought, and everyone was siding with Xbox has going to have the bigger library going forward. Yeah, and that's something to be said. Like, that's in regards to that. And then you have all the PC guys. We matter too. I'm like, I get it. Like, that's not the point of the thing. The point is those two sides were always making arguments about that particular thing, and they both this deal probably wouldn't have been pushed nearly as hard if the PlayStation guys didn't try to create that narrative.
Well, no, I mean,
in the general public,
Phil,
right?
It took things personally. He take a lot of people think that because like he is a nice guy, but the reality is that the man is a competitor. He wouldn't be in a position that he's in if he wasn't. And to get this and the treasure trove of games, like, the one thing that I think a lot of people, and it's funny because there was people when I was on I was asked to come on a podcast Saturday with Everborn Saga and Kay Asante.
Okay, yeah.
And so I, before I left to go do the stuff with my mom, I went on there for about an hour, and it was crazy because I was thinking about the same thing with Pitfall Harry and what Microsoft could do with revitalizing Pitfall and make that their own Uncharted, because Microsoft wants that. And we kind of thought that like Perfect Dark was going to be that. But now I think maybe that was one of the reasons why the game has got reconstructed. I mean, and it's probably been in that development hell cycle, is because now they're now that since they knew that they were going to get Activision, they probably now have this opportunity to bring their Pitfall Harry, and maybe not make Pitfall a guy, maybe make Pitfall a girl. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But they want their Tomb Raider-esque type of game. And since they're not going to be done with acquisitions, you know, you have that IP. And if like they get not Square Enix, but Crystal Dynamic or something like that to join them, then they got the game that they've been always wanting to add to their library. Like, I mean, there's so much potential with that. And plus, of course, a game that there's games that I didn't even know. Like, I didn't know that Activision owned RC Pro-Am or Hydro Thunder. You got to bring those games back. You have to bring those games back. Geometry Wars, I did not know that they owned them.
They don't own Hydro Thunder.
It showed on the list that they do.
No, they published it, but actually Microsoft bought the rights a while ago.
So Microsoft owns
Microsoft's owned Hydro Thunder before they bought Activision. A matter of fact, when Windows Phones came out, Hydro Thunder came to Windows Phones.
Well, they need to bring it regardless.
But I'm saying they've owned it for quite a while.
Yes.
If I'm thinking about it's the racing boat game that's over the top, kind of arcade
like,
racing, kind of like Wave Racer sort of thing.
Bring it back. Geometry Wars, that's a no given. You have to bring that. I know a lot of people ask for Guitar Hero. I had a little fun playing it. I mean, myself, I love DJ Hero, and of course, you know I'm a big fan of Lips. I would love to see Lips, but nobody that they've acquired owns Lips, so I'm assed out on that. I just gotta enjoy the old stuff. But
they said Guitar Hero is most likely. They've already been working on bringing Guitar Hero back.
And then
Bobby said that before.
Hexen, Hexen's going to come back. Even though I've never played Hexen, I don't know. Have you played Hexen?
Is that the gecko-looking thing, or
no? I don't know. I think that. Let me look and see what Hexen is.
I've never played it. Really, what you're talking about there?
Yeah, it's a really popular old school game.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's Gat. Yeah, you're thinking that.
No,
yeah.
No, I've never heard of it.
Game is. Yeah, no. I mean, I seen Phil wearing the T-shirt, and I'm like, Hexen. I've heard of it, of course, but I've never played it.
Sure, you're not confused with a studio name?
No, it's called Hexen. I'm watching the gameplay of it now.
Okay.
Matter of fact, no, I don't think I'm skilled enough to do that yet, to try to put it in the green screen on the background. But it is but yeah, no, it has a Doom, old school Doom vibe to it. And this dude has magic powers, and he's like a wizard, and he's like killing shit like centaurs. And so yeah, that would be dope. So like, yeah, if you know how like you do the dungeon crawl stuff like you do in Doom, it's that. So it's in that Quake, Doom, Wolfenstein vibe.
Well,
so yeah, no, I've never played it, but I remember
brought up something interesting. So Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Oh yeah.
Here's the thing to Blue. And I don't think it's really that much of an issue. It's just a little bit of red tape you have to. I think you have to get permission from Disney on this one. Regardless if it's an earlier publishing agreement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see Disney turning down the money in regards to that, but I do see a lot of Marvel stuff. Like, because, Activision has a lot of Marvel history. Making products, I see them bringing that stuff to Game Pass and then just living there. That's where it lives. They get a cut. Disney's got some passive income coming in once they come to an agreement on that sort of stuff. And I see all that stuff come through. Like, that stuff is going to come in waves in regards to that. Yeah, definitely money talks, but it has to be profitable for both companies, right? So, if it's like a wash for Microsoft on this because they're not doing development, but they just have to put it in the storefront and then they literally get 90% of the profits of that, I think they would be okay with that because it would drive traffic to Game Pass and they make profit off other stuff off Game Pass in regards to that. So we'll see. We'll see if they can work all that stuff out. But, Sony's hurting for money. I mean, not Sony, but Disney's hurting. Disney's really hurting for money right now. They got some problems financially, so I don't see them turning down any passive income if they can get it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's been, the kind of thrown out there. I think that they could definitely put the old Marvel Alliance games 1 and 2,
Spider-Man games.
Yeah, the Spider-Man games into Game Pass and stuff like that. I do think that they will announce something pretty soon in that regard. But maybe the Spider-Man stuff, I don't know. I know that's your theory on it. That would be amazing.
Well, I mean, it's not like Sony has any say in it. Like, it's not their
right.
property.
No, Sony. Yeah, Sony
so
don't have the say so on it. But I mean, that would be wild. That would be really dope. But yeah, like the backwards compatibility situation should be solid. But it's saying like a new game, like for instance, Marvel Alliance 3, that was on the Switch, really good. Yeah, if you could work on bringing 4 or something like that, that's going to take a little bit more time to work through. But yeah, like you said, the Blue money talks. I would love to see something like that. Deadpool is something that I think that is a no brainer to try to get Xbox to try to do that. And listen, this is the one thing that always annoys me, Don, when I because this is a joyous moment for any Xbox gamer out there, right? Like for this aspect, you kill so many narratives with all the acquisitions that Microsoft picked up.
You can just get back to gaming, basically.
Yeah, you can get back to gaming, but then here it comes. You got a couple of Xbox guys that because Spider-Man is coming out, well, Xbox needs to do this. They're in desperate need of doing this, and I don't see them needing to be in a desperate mode to have a superhero game. But I do see that they should bring one, but it's not like dire straight. Like it seems like every time that when a big time Sony game comes, there's always some pro Xbox gamers that want to, or content creators that wants to make the point of saying, well, they need that too. And I think that Xbox needs to stay in their lane mostly, but sprinkle a couple of things. You don't need to have this tit for tat. Everything needs to be just like what the competitor is doing, because if you are going to do what the competitor is doing, then the only thing you are is being a mini PlayStation. Or a mini Nintendo. You want to, Xbox is like the jack of all trades, and that's where Xbox should be. So I don't know. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
At a certain point, like, I don't know. The way I look at it is, when I was in high school, you're into games, you're into comic books, you're into all this sort of stuff, right? And then you discover girls, right?
Mm-hmm.
The girls give you a little bit of attention. And then you get worried about learn how to drive a car, right? And so a lot of times certain things go by the wayside, where like the car takes place of your video games, or the girl takes place of your video games, right? You can have all three, right? You can have video games, car, and girl. Like, it's a thing. I'm living it now. You're living it now. If you get where I'm going with that, that's the same way I look at with Spider-Man. Like, I can have the games I enjoy, and Spider-Man can still be a good game.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, when I play Starfield, it plays the same. Matter of fact, it plays better now than it did when it launched, right? Just because Spider-Man comes out doesn't make the gameplay any worse or find any less enjoyment out of it. Same thing with Forza. Forza is a great game. In regards to, like, it doesn't bother me that Spider-Man exists in that world, that other gamers are enjoying a game that I'm not playing yet. I plan on playing it, just to be clear. I plan on playing it. I plan on playing it on PC. It's not a slide to PlayStation. I just, there's a handful of PlayStation games I enjoy in regards to that, and most of those stuff what's going to come to PC, and I can wait. It's fine. More than happy to give Sony my money. I'll even give it a full pop, right, on the PC side of things. So that's not a problem for me. So I just don't see why we have to be so reactionary to other products like that. Like, you mean Nintendo has a Mario game come out. Just because a new Mario game comes out doesn't make the games on other consoles suck. You know what I mean? It just doesn't mean that. So like we can have it all as gamers. There's no reason why you can't. And the only reason why you can't is either you choose not to buy that console, right? You're already on another platform, and that's a choice, right? And doesn't mean you have to hate on the other thing. You consolidate all your money into this one thing, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I agree 100%. Like, I just think that, like, look, I mean, yeah, it too reactionary. Yeah, but this is another thing too. If Xbox gamers hyped up, and I hope that they don't get to that level, because I think that PlayStation content creators overhype everything. Everything is the next greatest thing next to sliced bread, right? Like, it's just the most ultimate of the ultimate, right? Then you have your 2 days to a week experience, and then it's done. And then you have to wait until the next one. And that's not sliding Spider-Man. That's not sliding any PlayStation game or anything like that. If you're excited for it, you is. But it's again, it comes with the Baldur's Gate thing. Like, they were only excited for it because it was exclusive to PlayStation for a few months. For what? Yeah. So, and that's the thing. I don't want Xbox gamers to get to that point to where you got to overhype everything in order for making somebody feel uncomfortable about the game that they enjoy. But I do feel that Xbox gamers need to, some content creators, not so much the gamers, content creators to stop, like you said, being so reactionary. And then when Xbox has had a fabulous, and I mean a fabulous 2023, that should still be in the equation. And it shouldn't be overwritten by one great PlayStation game. That just doesn't make any sense. And like you said, everything coexists. If you're a gamer that plays on everything, you're just happy about this is one hell of a great year for gaming.
Well, even if you're a gamer,
just adds to the pot.
Even to your point, like even if you're a gamer of one thing,
doesn't
mean you have to hit on the other thing. You prefer something else. It's fine.
Yes.
Like if someone plays a Nintendo Switch and then says, if they're reasonable on why they purchased it, like they go, hey, I like portable gaming and I like to play it on local hardware. You can't make an argument that the Switch is not one of the better products for that. If you know what I mean? Or I like Mario games more than I like, let's say, Call of Duty. Well, then maybe that third-party argument doesn't have value for that Nintendo customer. Get where I'm going with that? Like,
right.
Doesn't mean these other things suck. It just means that's where that provides a product that customer prefers to play on. And the same thing with PlayStation. Like, I don't like having the analog sticks right next to one. It drives me nuts on the PlayStation controller, right? So one of the driving forces for me gaming PlayStation games on my PC, it's not all the like arguments of ultimate power and all this other stuff and like people making PC gamers making fun of console gamers. I hate the controller. Doesn't mean you can't like it and have great enjoyment. I just don't like the thumbsticks. It's a me problem, right? So I play on my Xbox controller, I play on my PC, and guess what? That PlayStation logo comes on my splash screen once I have a monitor anyways, and by the time I'm not looking at the controller, I'm looking at the screen and interacting with it. It's a PlayStation product, right? Like at the end of the day, it's still a PlayStation product. So like you can enjoy that. This is what drives me nuts. Like I like passionate gamers. I like people talking about why they're passionate about stuff. I don't like it when they're unreasonable in the arguments and it comes from an insecurity standpoint. That is not a good look to gamers in general.
Not at all.
Yeah, and I'm gonna finish up with this thought, but I have to be right back. My dogs just got in some. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. But yeah, no, I think just personally that it's one of those things where when you're and I'm not the biggest fan of the PlayStation controller either. I do feel that the DualSense is the best PlayStation controller out there, and it's big enough to fit in the hands properly and things like that. But listen, it is what it is. I just have a problem with any time that there is a And shout out, and that is a big kudos to the PlayStation content creators and people that's on the internet that overhypes these games to this effect. And not to say that Spider-Man should not be hyped or praised or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's a product. It's not like it's a brand new IP that we've never played before. We know that this Spider-Man property is going to be good. It's going to be solid. It's going to be fun to play. And for the PlayStation fans that get out there and that hype it at the levels that they do, I need Xbox gamers to hype the games that they enjoy instead of worrying about what these people say about their products that they care more about than Xbox or Nintendo. That's my problem with that. Like, we don't need to have the same, if you want to get a superhero game, I'm all for it. But then if Xbox does bring, let's just say hypothetically, like I've been talking about, Deadpool, and they bring a Deadpool, and if the graphics is just not as crisp as what PlayStation's is or something like that, you're already shitting on it. And right there, you just defeated the whole purpose of not paying attention of that they listened to you, that Xbox listened to you and gave you a good quality game. It's just because it's not something that you can have a leg up on to say, well, look at this. This shows the power of that part of that elevated part of the console war is getting to a point to me where I'm sick of it. It's all fun and good to talk a little trash, stuff like that. I get all that. But for every narrative that's been killed from Xbox, from when we were from last year, from last year and towards the end of the life cycle of the Xbox One to at this point now, there should be nobody complaining about anything. Nothing. There should be people that still wants certain things to still come, or, for instance, if, and there's still certain things to complain about. Like if somebody complained about, let's say, the way that the difference between how PlayStation is utilizing their record feature compared to what Xbox does, then that's something that you want to say, because when Xbox had the studio, the Upload Studio, which was amazing, and just imagine what Upload Studio could be now. It's a downgrade compared to what PlayStation has done from when they had it on PlayStation 4 to now what it is on PlayStation 5, and it's more it's more redefined, and it's better than what Xbox offers. Then I'm with you on that conversation.
Well, but
this whole situation is crazy.
You also have to take it a step further, though. You have to be also equally honest and say, okay, well, yeah, that's something that, say, a PlayStation's got over an Xbox, but you also have to say, like, be able to take your gameplay and just edit it on your PC is always going to be the better experience, because it is a tool. That's what a PC is, at its core, right? So, so there has to be just a level of honesty in the conversations, I guess, is what I'm primarily like craving from gamers, because there's a lot of noise out there, and if the noise is there's a lack of consistency in all the noise that's out there, then I don't know what to do with it. I'm just going to brush it off and I'm going to move on in regards to it. And then same thing too with all the same arguments that happen weekly on every single podcast out there. It's just silly in regards to that. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a bigger conversation to be had there in regards to all that sort of stuff. But
yeah. Yeah, well, I'm excited. I think it's going to be massive. I mean, just all the opportunities that for all the games just in Activision alone. I mean, and like I said, we haven't talked about all the other stuff that Xbox has in the pipeline. They finally have a direction. It's something that we've questioned for a lot of years. Even though we knew that they would get there, I knew that they would get there eventually, because I just felt like just the way Phil Spencer and his team worked and operated, that they would get there, but I had no thoughts that it was going to be this wild and this impressive.
I don't think when he first set on the adventure, he thought the opportunity to buy Activision was on the table. Like, no. like when he first got in charge, right? Like, he was consolidating a bunch of studios that didn't want to really work for Microsoft anymore, right? Like, they want to go do their own thing. Okay, well, we have to prove to then Microsoft, like Phil goes, okay, we have to be a place that people want to be with us in general, right? So we have to change our attitude and how we work with partners, right? We don't have the upper hand to be able to just force them to do whatever the hell we want, right? So we have to bridge that relationship. So they got rid of the people that didn't want to work there, let them flounder on their own, kept the things that they wanted to do. And I think he planned on buying individual studios and trying to position himself in a place that he can do that. Well, as the vision of the gaming division kind of grew up, then you start growing into bigger and bigger roles. They start having a much bigger, grander vision. And as that vision grew, then things like the Activision deal came about. And so that's kind of where we're at today. The big question is where they're going to end in regards to that. Are they going to swing for the fences for one more big one when they still have a chance in regards to that? And I think they're going to. Who it's going to be, I don't know. I know a lot of people were talking crap about them buying out Nintendo. But it's interesting. I have a picture on my Twitter of Layer Herb. We haven't seen that guy in a while, right? In his Hawaiian shirts, right? His silk Hawaiian, the finest.
He's done.
The finest of silk Hawaiian shirts, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He was visiting Nintendo for some reason. I have no idea why. It could be minuscule. They know, he knows a couple people there. You know what I mean? Because they're not too far away from one another. Or it could be as something bigger, building that relationship in regards to that. Because I don't know what Nintendo's future is, to be honest with you. I feel like they keep making these things like, whew, they've been saved once again. But in general, like this is an unpopular opinion. I think they've gone down in market share, not necessarily up with the Switch. And the reason why I say that is they're consolidating their console market and their portable market. So if you take that in consideration, the fact that they consolidated both of those into consideration of the numbers and what's been there and back, it's actually not a growth in the market. I mean, it's not like they're hurting for money or anything like that. Like I'm not trying to say that, right? But they used to own. Imagine the Wii, right? Like the original Wii, they were owning the home market, and at the same time they had the 3DS.
Right.
They were killing everything. Like, a lot of people didn't realize that. Now it's been consolidated into one product. So the question is, even though they sold more than the Xbox One and then the PlayStation 4, is it overall a net positive? I don't think it actually is in regards to that. So they have to come up with something that helps them trend further than what the Switch did in regards to that. And
I wonder if they're just content of where they are, like because they know that the Switch, that's because I agree with you on that. Like, I mean, I didn't even put that in perspective, but they definitely kind of like moved away from the handheld aspect of it because the Switch is pretty much a handheld.
Or they moved into the handheld, depending on how you want to look at it.
So. However you want to look at it, but but maybe their thing is like, okay, we're going to make a more powerful Switch. And we'll just charge more money, and then we'll reap the benefits off of that. But then we're kind of cool with where we're at because we don't want to be in that war like with PlayStation and Xbox where they always have to top one another power wise, game wise, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We can just stay in this lane, still make enough money to sustain and to make a profit, and then just keep it moving. I don't know. Maybe that's what they're doing because I think you're right. Like, they were at one time just dominating. Like the Wii, regardless, the Wii was the biggest selling product they had, and then like you said, the 3DS. Holy shit, it was killing.
Well, they captured all like demographics too. Like with that, that's what was so crucial and cool about that. So I don't know. I don't do it to the knock on Nintendo or anything like that. But
Nintendo is fine.
Well, question where they're gonna go, because like it could be just one bad generation. That's all it takes, for somebody like Nintendo. All it takes is one bad generation.
They always come back. But they always come back, though. That's the one, Don. Just look at the Nintendo history. It's really nuts. Like the NES, and like
the most dominant system they've done.
Yeah, the savior of gaming. Then they had the Super Nintendo, which did well, but it didn't do anything well as that. Then you had the Nintendo 64, which sold less, but did okay. But then you had the GameCube. And the GameCube was a disaster. Then they come back with the Wii, dominate, and then they come with the Wii U too. And then that's when everybody thought Nintendo was out of there, right? Like it was going to turn into Sega, a third-party publisher. And then now they come with the Switch. So you're right. Like here in recent history, they've been hit, miss, hit, miss, hit, miss. I think that they found their formula. And that's why I think when I made the point of saying, like, I think that they're content instead of trying to catch up. They're just like, we'll just stay behind. We know we got a formula. Let's just stick with it. People are still going to buy our product because they love our game. I think that's it. And I think another thing too, Don, because you've said this as well. If they would actually really consider putting their games on PC, that would be the cap. They would make a killing. Because they would make a killing on
They would double their profits of their games easily.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would cannibalize. This is the thing that, people always make this argument, but I think things have proven itself over time. I don't think it would even cannibalize their Switch sales. Like,
oh, no, not at all.
Because, like, you got old heads like us who's been gaming for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like their hardware. I just don't. Like, can I get on something a little nicer? Like, I get you're not trying to compete with with Xbox or Sony, but just can I get on something a little bit nicer? I don't even have to have day and date. Can I just have something nicer? You tell me what nicer thing you want to put it on, I'll go there. If you get where I'm going with that, right?
Oh yeah,
I don't care if it's Sony or Xbox or PC. I'm just not a huge fan of their hardware. But then again, if you're talking about a kid, teenager, or younger, or something like that, like they just want to play on a Switch, and they don't even want to play on the big screen because they're just not there yet. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, Switch screen's probably bigger than most of us what they used to play in the NES days, anyways.
Okay, I hear you now.
Yeah, no, I had some issue with OBS. I don't know what happened there. So.
Oh, okay.
Probably just like up on the internet. So I apologize, guys.
Oh no, that's fine.
But no, that's just kind of my take on all that sort of stuff. It's just I just don't know where Nintendo is. I don't want to like be doom and gloom and all that sort of stuff. Like just because they don't make a product for me. The question is, they don't still have huge third party support. And that's one reason why you make a console is third party support. People get caught up in the exclusives and all that other stuff. Is the real money is licensing fees. That's how you make it as a console, if that makes any sense. So like, when Sony gets a cut of every sale of every single game that's not a Sony game. So that it's all about licensing fees.
Right.
In regards to that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. I mean, then again, I think if anyone had a crystal ball that's clear, I mean, obviously they're going to be the millionaire in that particular situation.
Right.
But they're content and not content, if that makes any sense.
Right.
I would say that it's true of really like a true statement of any company, right? Sony's content but not content, right?
Right.
Xbox is content and not content. If they're profitable, they fall into that category where they're content, but they can do more, right? They want investors want them to do more, in regards to that, and so they want profit from that perspective. And so, for example, is Sony probably going to have just as much third-party support after the Activision deal as they had in the past? Most likely. Sony knew that, right? However, the investors are not content. If you get where I'm going,
right.
that's probably a big portion that has to do with the change of leadership that's there.
That was that.
So
I mean, we've talked about ABK and all that stuff. Kind of moved off of ABK anyway, but yeah. Now, your thoughts about Jim? Because we haven't had Devin the Gamer in a little bit. So, your thoughts about Jim Ryan leaving? Because people think that he actually retired. I don't see that at all. I think he was let go. I mean, the way that he was going after trying to stop the ABK deal, he was running out back and forth to the UK like his hair was on fire, and then it seemed like it was a desperation move, and to try to not only to try to stop the deal, but it seemed. And then that's when I said to myself, like, this looked like this man's job is in jeopardy because of this. Your thoughts? Do you think that he was
I don't think
nicely pushed out, or did he retire?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of pressure there. Maybe he got sick of the pressure, right? Like that could have been just as easily. So, you went out on his terms because of that, or you got pushed out. But I do believe it's hard to ignore what was going on with the ABK deal in relationship to Sony leadership and how they were acting and behaving. And the ABK deal, it's not about Activision. Activision is just a small part of it. Like, if that's the game you play and that's your world, you got to understand there's a bigger world out there than the Call of Duty aspect of it. But he knew he wasn't giving any money to purchase anything else, right?
Right.
You didn't have the cash money to counter, right? He didn't have a way to counter the Activision deal as far as purchasing them or signing a deal, or from what I heard, Sony wanted to, I think, acquired a small portion of Activision, like have them sell off like Blizzard or something like that. I don't know exactly what it entailed, but that's what I heard. And then Microsoft's counter was the whole company. So, and then there was a couple other players they're throwing their hat in the ring here and there in regards to that. So that's what the word on the development street has been. And so I don't know. I think he didn't give very many tools, and the only thing he can do was rally up the gaming community, and the best way to do that was through Call of Duty, because that is the most passionate group of gamers out of everything that they produce. And the end result is sorry, you lose. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, yeah, I'm sure there's other elements like you mentioned about travel and stuff like that. Maybe it's not worth the travel while being harassed about ABK, right? Both things can be true in regards to that. And I think he was a very accomplished business person. I don't want to take that away from him. But he found himself playing in a league that no one anticipated him to be playing in with these sort of acquisitions. So, yeah, I mean, he'll be fine. Like I don't shed the same tear for him as I do for somebody that's in an entry level position at something. But that it's just a weird situation to be in for sure, because he wasn't given anything. Make it happen without no money.
I don't, because they said the same thing about Sean Layden, and they said the same thing pretty much, but they said the same thing to a certain degree. They just was nice about Yoshida, because he was still within the company. He just got demoted. I don't know. Out of those three, Yoshida, Sean Layden, Jim Ryan, who you think was the most accomplished at what they did in their tenure as CEO at PlayStation?
What were my options again? Sean Layden.
Yeah, Sean Layden, Yoshida, and Jim Ryan.
I would say Yoshida.
Okay.
It's not probably his more recent, but his, if you include his whole entire tenure there at the company, he's done a lot in regards to that. I heard a lot of respectful things as far as like development stuff with their studios and stuff like that and how he was an advocate for that. That was a big deal in regards to that. So.
Right. And Dog 50 said Microsoft's response to Sony's 2-year exclusive contracts was not expected by Sony's board. I can believe that. Because Microsoft had to make, that was one of the things that they had to do, was cut out the middleman. I mean, just think about how bad that their second party deals were last gen. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong. I mean, what I'm saying? They had issues with Crytek. Then the situation went, Insomniac, that was back and forth, and then you had to go deal with the situation with Remedy. And then you go into, and even with, you had tight partnerships with, I can't think of that studio that made Crackdown 3. Well, the original
Sumo
studio
Digital.
that worked on,
Sumo
Digital.
The original studio got bought out.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. The original one got bought out, and the Sumo Digital came in to clean up the mess. And then of course you look at the situation with Platinum Games. With Scalebound. Like, you can't win everything that you try to do to try to bring content, to the gamers. It all fell to shit, or it just wasn't good enough. Like, I mean, I would love to see another ReCore come back, but that game will probably never see the light of day again. I still have hope for Scalebound in some way, shape, form, but I just don't see it unless Microsoft acquires Platinum. Now, you do know that I don't know if you do, if you heard this or not, but the one guy that was the mouthy guy, I can't think, not Kesserai. I can't remember what his name was.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He's gone. He left.
So he's leaving, or he's out already.
It's one or the other. He said that he's done or whatever. I think he leaves sometime this year or early next year. But he's gone. He said he's leaving. If he's ousted, if he made the decision himself, I don't know. But the only way that you can try to work out to make Microsoft to want to get Platinum, and I know a lot of people, in the Xbox community say, nah, leave Platinum alone. But I think that would be the best way to that would be the best time to go get them. If not, I think Nintendo's going to grab them.
Let Nintendo have them.
You say that?
They're so hit and miss. Like,
they are,
and I try not to be overly crucial of other creators, because my time's coming. If you get where you're going, but my experience with them on the games that I've enjoyed, sometimes they've been freaking amazing, and sometimes they've been like not even that will do, and so that's just kind of the overall Platinum experience. So, maybe a Japanese company might be a little bit better off. Maybe they'd understand them a little bit better, a little bit better relationship. I want them to make good games in regards to that. And the Bayonetta seems to work so far with them. And they've slowed down on the amount of projects they're doing. So, yeah, if Nintendo wanted to acquire them, I would have no complaints about that.
Well, I don't know. I think you're right about the whole out of the last 3 CEOs at PlayStation, Yoshida probably was the best one. He was there the longest, and he gave a damn about indies. It seems like they're at one point, he loves indies, and so I think that that because those indies help Sony help the PlayStation 4 get through their little tough spot when they had that sparse moment. So anyway, I don't know. I agree with you on that. I think that I think Yoshida would get the nod on there. A lot of people like Sean Layden. I think Sean Layden was a dog too, but and he had a good vision. But Jim Ryan, yes, as accomplished as he is, he picked up the slack of what Yoshida and what Sean Layden did.
Sean Layden couldn't execute in the final hour. That's the problem.
That was the problem, you think? Okay.
Yeah, because I think he had grand visions that was similar to Microsoft, but in a Sony sort of way. but he was unable to connect with the rest of the board and get the support he needed to execute on that promise. And that is so huge on the overall experience. And so, like, that's where I think he falls short. I mean, it doesn't undermine his other accomplishments, but he was put in that position for those reasons, right? Like, how do we do games as a service? How are we missing out on this market? And you know, I don't think Sony should ever change the type of games they produce, because like I think they're, and people look at one or done experiences as a negative thing. I actually think they're good, because they leave a really lasting impression. It's the quality of the experience what we're really talking about there on the Sony side of things, and I'm okay with that. Like, you know, they should never stop doing that. That's something that the game industry needs as a whole. Not everything can be games as a service, because we don't have the time to do that, right? If you get where I'm going with that, right? So they just need to have a select few that resonate with their gamers in regards to, but they couldn't execute that within the time frame that they're looking. And I don't think the Bungie deal did me any favors, to be honest with you. I don't think the concessions he had to do. If I was a board member, I would be pissed. How much money did we spend? Right. And this is all we get out of it. And then you see delays.
They're gonna have to force Bungie's hand in some way and form to win. I mean, I know. I mean, they agreed to the terms, but that was a finesse from Bungie. That was a major finesse. I think
they strong-armed them for sure.
Yeah, that was a desperate move. That was a desperate move from Sony, and that's not like Sony to be finessed like that. So was that was under Jim Ryan, right? So
no, the most recent
Jim Ryan.
Sorry.
That was Jim Ryan's move. So that could have been a situation where that could have been one of the final nails in the coffin, in the sense of, okay, you made us get this deal. We signed off on it. Now Microsoft is going to, because this was kind of, I guess, their answer to combat against ZeniMax. Now they're getting ABK. We're not going to get finessed again, and getting Square Enix is not going to be on anywhere on the same level or the capacity of what the ABK deal is. So you better stop this. And I think that's where it came to, where it's like, look.
Well, don't even look from the perspective of looking at what's going on the other side of the pond, right? Like, try not to look at it from that perspective. The pitch was, we got Bungie. Okay, cool. What are we doing with Bungie?
Right.
Well, they retain everything, but we're going to use them for games as a service. Cool. When's our games as a service coming? Where are they? They don't exist. Like, you look at within that bubble. That's the problem, right? How much you pay for Bungie, and you still don't have anything to show with the partnership, right? It's not Bungie directly, right? It's Bungie helping out their studios. Like, you can look at what is it, Factions that everyone was waiting for on
Factions
is
too.
Is the reason why they didn't come out is because of the Bungie deal?
Make it sounds like it. I mean, there was reports saying that Bungie came in there and did this. I mean, we was having a discussion on GRG with a PlayStation guy, King Thrash, and he made it seem like that wasn't true or anything, in which it was. It was a report back in May where Bungie came in and Sony told Bungie to go in there and fix it, and they looked at what was there and they said it wasn't good enough. So they were back to the drawing board, pretty much.
No, was it good enough? I don't know. Like, would the overall, how can I say this correctly? So, would the overall Sony fan base would have been okay with what they released?
That's the big question here.
Because we don't know. It could have been up to snuff for them, right? Like, because I didn't really like Factions in the first place, but it's not.
The other Faction was cool. Yeah, no, I mean
it's not about
cool for what it was. Right, but it was also came with a single player game. That that's the difference. Like, you can always say, well, Factions is cool to play, every once in a while, but I'm here just for the single player game. Now you're in a whole different position because you're just making an online game, service game only. That is a different animal.
Yeah. So you have that situation where you spent an exorbitant amount of money on a studio that you don't own. You don't own Marathon coming out. It's not yours. They can release them whatever the hell they want. And Marathon don't. The big guys that made Destiny what it is, they moved on to the Marathon project. So like Marathon is whatever their future is, right? So Marathon is a thing. So you don't have that exclusive to kind of drive people to your platform. You're not you promise that you're going to release more stuff on PC, but you're not doing it at the clip that's needed. Take day-and-day out of the equation. They're just slow, right? To get it on there. Now, to their credit, when they release on PlayStation games on PC, they tend to be pretty good ports. In my experience. Yeah. So like, they do have that part down. So that's, I think, important because, maintaining that image of the quality of their products is I think, essential, even if people are not playing on a PlayStation. So they're doing those sort of things. And I think that's awesome, but I think they just didn't execute. And I think that as a driving force, they were just like, hey, you overpaid up a Bungie and we're not getting anything in our return in regards to that. So, and then you add the Activision deal on top of it, and you're just like, okay, then you couldn't stop this. And, it doesn't mean they didn't give them the right amount of tools or anything like that, but just he wasn't able to counter it. And so, and then, Spider-Man's a great game, but it's only a game coming out this year in regards to that. So investors are going to look at the cumulative of that sort of stuff. They're going to look at how much you invested in Bungie. We're not getting a return on our investment. They're going to look at, we asked you to try to stop this Activision deal, and it didn't quite go through in regards to that. And then you get to a point with you only release one game, and they may still, like, you can stay on the board, but they may be like putting them under a lot of pressure. He's like, I'm out, I'm done. You're asking too much for me that I can't do with the tools that you have. Like, you ever been in a place like that where they expect you to do a certain thing and they don't give you the resources to do it? Like, I get it. So if he just kind of, you just did the rage quit. I get it.
He said the rage quit.
Yeah, like, I get it. And if that's what he did, like, I'm not upset at him for doing it. I understand where he's coming from. I really do. In regards to, I mean, it is the job he signed up for, but if you reach that point, and you keep it moving. So yeah, it's just, I don't know what else to say. I probably said too much already, but
it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about somebody who another person who just left recently, and that's Pete Hines. Next to our last topic, because we'll talk about your thoughts about Starfield and Forza that came out on the way out of here. But a lot of people has made all different types of speculations. Even I am as well. I said what I said on crossover yesterday. Excuse me. And he's been at Bethesda for 24 years. My thought is that it was a mutual situation, and I think that my thought is this. Zenimax, he's been there, and they didn't have to answer to anybody. They only did what they wanted to do. And after the hearing, he kind of showed like he wasn't for what Xbox direction is. Like, just like kind of like how Bobby Kotick, their directions for both companies is totally different, right? So when he was out there, he almost threw a Hail Mary, him and Bobby Kotick, to the FTC because of some of the comments that he said. And I think the straw that broke the camel's back was the situation with Redfall. I think that Phil had to make that difficult conversation with a friend. And I don't think it was very pleasant. You know what I mean? So
one of my mentors, I've had a fire.
See?
It's not a fun thing to go through.
Right. And like I said yesterday, friends argue. Like, I mean,
we do.
All of us, we've had an uncomfortable conversation. So I'm like, that's just, part of it. Doesn't mean that those two, but I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And then Pete is, I think, there's people that speculating to think that Pete might go to PlayStation or he might just do that. I think he's going to take some time to relax and just, and kick back and then make his decision then. But I think that me personally, I think the Redfall thing was the straw that broke the camel's back. I don't know. What do you think about this whole situation?
I mean, he's been working at Bethesda how long? Do you know?
24 years.
I think he's just tired.
Mm.
His views may not line up exactly with obviously Microsoft and stuff like that
right.
on certain things, and that could be true too. But it could be just like he's been doing it for a while. Like me and my wife were talking about like what I'm doing, and I have 2 games in my belt. One's a smaller game and one is a bigger game. It's going to take quite a while. And I think when I'm released those 2 games, I'm done. I'm retired.
Damn, you say you're done.
I'm done. Just because I know how long those projects are going to take. And, I don't complain about working long hours, but I do work, 12-hour days by choice. No one's telling me. I'm independent right now, right? So I can see where he's at. He's probably just tired. He's probably just exhausted. In regards to that, and he's done a good job. There's some, you can say there's some swings and misses. I mean, that's fair.
Right.
I as I said, I don't like every Bethesda game. Some games I love, and the other ones I'm like, eh. But that's fine. You're not gonna be able to make something for everybody. So I think he's just tired, and nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that or that at all. And maybe there's some disagreements that he has with Phil. But I'm sure that's not the only factor into why he's making decisions. In regards to there's outside influences. People don't realize this. Like there's family, right? Like, I don't want to go into details or anything like that, but a lot of reasons why you don't see Devin the Gamer in honestly, weekly is family. I'm not gonna that's just what happens, right? Like, it's not a big deal. It really isn't. And I always want this to be something that we can have a good time. And, there are more important things than the podcast. If you think about if that's your daily job and then you have family and he's not a young gun. We're talking about how things get when you get older. And it's not even like it's not even like you're in health issues. Like people that you knew that were just fine, they're going through some challenges later in life, right?
Yeah.
Aunties and uncles, right? You know how it goes, right? So like it's just life catches up, and he's done a good job in regards to that. Yeah, is there some marks on his report card that needs improvement? Sure. But he's self-aware of that. I don't, and his vision may be not lined with Microsoft's, and that's normal. And I think that also too, people realize when you purchase a company, a lot of times there's contracts to keep core talents there for a certain period of time. That's part of the agreement. So, and you're kept there, and then you're kind of grandfathered out, if you get where I'm going with, until you can find a proper replacement to keep things rolling as is. So, I have a feeling this was already in the contract. He already knew what his payday was going to be. He knew he was going to be there. It could have been like he had to be there until Starfield was released, right? Like that could have been part of the contract. You have to stay on at least until this is released, right? It got delayed a year. If you get where I'm going, they own them like 2 or 3 years now. Like it doesn't surprise me at core talent. And here's the thing: like, don't expect 5 years from now that whatchamacallit, I forget the other talented person that people always put on a pedestal over there. I can't remember.
Oh, Todd Howard.
Todd Howard, yeah, the Hasselhoff of gaming. So,
yes.
Don't be surprised within 5 years he retires. He's been doing it for a long damn time, and I bet he was part of the contract to keep on core talent, and then he's going to want his payday too, and peace out.
Skyrim. Well, not Skyrim. The Elder Scrolls 6 could be his last game.
Could be. Yeah, could be.
And him finishing out what he wanted to do with Starfield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't be surprised. And same thing with Activision. Like we're obviously focus on Bobby, right? But don't be surprised if other core talents disappear after 3 or 4 years. Like that's kind of normal with these sort of acquisitions with any business, let alone a studio. So
yeah, no, it makes sense. I do feel like it was, he might have stayed a little bit longer, but I think that because again, I know you've seen that interview with Phil when he was really upset. I know you've seen one of them, but that one that really sticks to my mind is the one where he wanted to cuss and he just couldn't. He still was staying professional, but he was highly pissed about that, about the Redfall situation, and rightfully so. And then I think what it all came to was the 343 situation with Halo Infinite. Like I think Phil was just getting tired of being lied to. You know what I mean? Like, enough is enough.
Well, that falls on
enough is enough.
That falls, like people like him, but also Matt Booty.
Oh yeah,
that falls on Matt Booty as well.
And Phil, yeah. Can't, yeah.
Like to this day, I don't even know how they showed the presentation of where Halo Infinite was to everyone before they did the year. Like, who greenlighted that? Oh, I am so sorry, guys.
Oh yeah, okay.
My internet had an issue again. Sorry.
You had an OBS update. Yeah, you just said you had an OBS update. So yeah, you probably going to have to do another restart or whatever. So
was the audio okay, guys? Yeah. Just make sure. I want to do a double check. Make sure the audio is okay.
It's fine. It's fine on this end. Hold on. Let me hear you say something.
Check on the audio right now.
Yeah, I hear you talking.
So it's not Dr. Roboto, is what you're saying.
No. Yeah, it sounds fine. Yeah, okay. No, I was just listening to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, no. But go ahead. What was you gonna say?
Yeah. So I mean, that's really all that concerned about is just like it falls on multiple people before it hits Phil, right? Like Phil obviously has to take the hit on the shoulders, but right. Where's Matt Booty? Like somebody I have a lot of respect for, but where is he in this particular situation? Where, you talk about Pete Hines. Well, yeah, he's part of it, but then why aren't people that report to Pete Hines, because that's how it is. You report to people, not reporting the actual situation, or so the question is, are they fear of their job? What is going on? What is the breakdown of why these are not all hitting how they're intended to, if you get where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
And I understand Phil not wanting to do delays, especially with so much product out there. I get it. Because it hurts a little bit more, I would imagine, when you have X number of products in the pipeline and you need to start recuperating costs at a certain point, right? It's not like Microsoft's hard on money, but you think in that aspect.
They still got a budget.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on there in regards to it. So yeah, I mean, is that a black mark on his report card? There's no doubt about him. But I think he has more wins and losses. He's
going in history. Yeah, he's going in history as making some of the best video games in history. So yeah, like I mean he's always gonna be in the history books for sure in a positive light more than he is on a negative. You're absolutely right on.
Yeah, so okay. I mean, yeah, hate to see him go. I think he's done with the industry though. I mean, I don't think
you don't think he's going to go anywhere else.
No, okay. and matter of fact, I think he's watch be my last words, right? But I would be surprised if he goes with any platform provider.
Okay.
I don't think that's necessarily his preferred way to go. I think he wants to make his games, if he's involved, enjoyed by as many people as possible. I think that's a core value of his. And so I don't think the Sony would be able to offer anything different than what Microsoft is willing to offer him, if you get where I'm going with that. So.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense.
Plus, he's got a payday. Like the Activision deal. It's got a payday that comes along with it. So I think he's just got what he wants out of the deal, and going from there. So.
Well, last topic is 2 games right here that is that we both been playing. I've been playing one more than the other, but your thoughts on, I say, Starfield, and is it to you, like people say it's the game of the generation, or do you feel like it's more of what the score is? Like, I think it's like an 83 to an 84. What's your positives? What's your negative of Starfield? Since I've seen you've been putting some time in, you've been streaming it. So
yeah,
and people check out his stream. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because
on this channel,
he does stream and things like that on this channel. So on the Don Gaming Live channel. So check it out. But your thoughts?
So out of the Bethesda games like the Skyrims and the Fallouts, I've never been a fan of those RPGs. Full disclosure. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give this one another shot, right? I'm going to give it a shot. And it's the best of those RPGs that I actually enjoy. And what I like about it is I can get straight to what I need to do. Less of the bullshit, if you know what I mean, where you're wandering and stuff like that. Like, I don't mind exploring, but I only have so much time to do that sort of stuff. So it allows you to kind of cut straight to the chase, which I really appreciate. I did get lost on a whole other storyline, and I think that's the intention of the game design. So kudos to them to make that happen. It is the most polished Bethesda RPG game I've ever played. In regards to matter of fact, I have a short with one small glitch where like the lady accidentally talked her, and somehow she was backed up in the corner, in the way they did the camera, like I'm up close to her nose, like right up, seeing the pores.
You know how you are about that.
I'm like, oh no, make it stop. And just didn't know how to cancel out, and but that was the only thing I've really ran into for the most part. I had the game crash maybe once. I don't know how many hours. That can happen on any game. In regards to that, so I think it's a solid RPG, and when you can make your fan base happy but expand outside of your typical fan base, I think that's a huge win. I don't think that's talked about too much, and I think that's what this game does and what it accomplishes. Does it have the best storylines on things? No. Is there a bunch of fetch quests? Absolutely. That gets tiresome, but then again, a game like this where you go your own way, you're responsible to some degree of where you take that fun, if that makes any sense. So if you find certain storylines boring, stop doing those storylines. You know what I mean? Do something you may enjoy a little bit more. And that's something I forgot about as I was playing it. The pirate one was great, but it was long. But you become a millionaire at the end of it, so it's worth doing just for the credits and the experience points you get from doing that mission. It's one of Yobi's favorite missions, just when I was streaming. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and do that then. Ooh.
Yeah, you do that next.
Yeah,
I did the Ryujin one.
Yeah, you're flush with cash, because I kept going like, oh my gosh, I have to bail this person out. So I keep giving away my money, and I'm like, I don't have anything. I wanted to upgrade my ship, right? And then I reached the end of the storyline. I'm like, oh, I need to upgrade my skills so I can do the ship I want to, because it's not a money problem anymore after I was done with it. So that would be the one storyline I would recommend highly doing, just because of what it opens up for the player. But now that I've done that, I'm kind of done with the side missions, and I just want to do the core mission.
Well, I would tell you this: the Ryujin, the corporate one in Neon. When you beat that, you get a dope ass like stealth suit and helmet, and you get the power of mind control. So you get a like a beyond, like this biome chip to where you can manipulate enemies to go to run off somewhere, or to open a door, or to go attack other people. Yeah. Yes, that's what I got. So that's why I was like, oh, okay. Okay, I'm digging that. So now when you tell me this, I can get this money. I was over here. I'm gonna still keep going through the missions because I was gonna just kind of beat the game and then do the missions. But now since you're talking about I can be a millionaire, then I'm gonna
Yeah,
go ahead and I'm
you're
gonna
gonna
do
be
that.
flush with cash. Flush.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna be flush this class, and I can upgrade to where I can be even a more devious bastard when getting mind control because you'll throw the because when you hit them, it'll show a little thing of a puppet, a little icon of a puppet and the strings,
Oh, the
and you just
marionette.
tell them, yeah, and you just tell them where to go, and then so yeah, that's cool.
That'd be interesting on that story mission.
Yeah,
Now, if you
but
had that ability,
it's long too though. Yeah, it's long too though. So yeah, now since I already got that ability to do that, I might can make some things because I also have my persuasion all the way maxed out too. So yeah, okay, all right, yeah, okay, but continue.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, continue.
Yeah, so like, but then I'm getting kind of bored of like, what is it, the Lone Star missions? I'm like, I can't do these.
Oh, okay, yes, I haven't done that.
So there's some of them like it just like, oh, and then the typical Bethesda thing where like the main character you have is highly detailed, but all the side characters, they're they have the detail of a bag of milk. Yeah. There's one girl like I'm like, couldn't you just put eyebrows on her? Why do we have something where her eyebrows are gone? I'm like, come on, just put the detail in there, just a little bit, because like you have some characters, it's not a problem. So just the way they did the auto-generated characters, and they say this will do, and push things through, like that stuff, like kind of gets to me. It's not a perfect game by all means. I think some of the story stuff is boring, but then again, it's what you want to get out of it, right? Like, do you want to invest the time to get, the upgraded ability? Is that worth it to you or is it not, right? And if it's not, then maybe you want to do because there is a quality difference between the main storyline missions and that. Once I start unlocking like the abilities, I'm like, oh, I see where this is going now. You get where I'm going with that? And I did a whole entire side mission and I didn't have any of the telekinesis abilities. That whole pirate mission, I didn't have any of those abilities. And so the weapons too on the pirate stuff, really good. They have.
Yeah, I've heard. No, I did hear that.
There's a gun that's.
I just told that I just needed to do the pirate mission, but now since you told me, I'm like, okay, now I got to do the pirate mission because I've already set it up to where I've met the people that, where I did the negotiations. I just got to go meet the person to get everything set up.
Yeah, so it does two things. Right. So it gives you two really cool guns. Like one's an auto, one's a pistol sort of weapon. So both of those are like, no matter what you do, you keep those around to upgrade and all that sort of stuff with you. And then there is, as you're going through, there's a certain point there, like you have to be careful, but there's a whole storefront on their base in the in space, right? The pirates, and so they have a merch store where it's just really rare items as well. So depending on where your level of your character is, it scales accordingly. So you can get some really cool armor on there that's leveled up, that's unique. If that makes any sense. So it has those elements to it, so it's really cool. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Is it game of the year a Tinder? I don't know what's a game of the year a Tinder anymore. It's judged by the media that complains about playing games all the time. Like I can't relate to them anymore. I don't know if the average gamer can relate to me anymore. And they seem like they're irrelevant in every single way, right?
Oh yeah, that is a fact.
Every one person reviews a game like on an IGN, there's thousands trying to do the same, make a living doing it on YouTube. So people are just gonna go try to find the most realistic take on content. I mean, live streaming's take a huge chunk out of that, right? So there's certain people that are new, they'll pop in my stream like, oh, he's playing, Starfield. I'm curious about it. I heard these bad articles or a good article, whatever it may be. And then goes, is he enjoying it? Right? Is he not? So people ask me questions and, I tend to have that look like on my face like I took too many painkillers when I'm playing, right? So sometimes it's hard to read like how I'm taking it, but you know, you can just ask. I mean, literally, you can go when a game is out there, go live and see where someone's playing something, engage. They don't have to be a big audience, just like a small audience, so you get garner their attention. And you can get a view of like 5 different streamers within 10 minutes. You know what I mean? And then you're like, is it worth it? Maybe it is worth it. And then if it's worth it, then you just pay, the Game Pass if you want to do it that way. In regards to that. So it's awesome. I think it's a good game. I don't know if I would do a second playthrough or anything like that. I don't know if I would rate it as a game of the year, a tender for myself. And nor am I going to pretend I understand where the overall media is at, because we can't relate anymore in regards to that. So.
Okay. All right. Big deal. I mean, myself, I'll just be brief. I enjoy the hell out of it. I got already over 5 days worth of hours into it, and I am just now starting. I'm a level 31 now, and I'm already just now starting the story mode. So that just, I've just been running around just doing wild stuff, just doing stuff. So and most of my stuff that I get caught up in doing is me exploring planets, me trying to get all the surveys and just discovering different parts. And then I'll run into an occasional structure, go in there, fight, kill stuff. And then I've kind of now stopped that because I'm like, I'm going to too much of a rabbit hole, because I'm sure some of these structures that I've already blown up and destroyed is going to be going to be contributed to some kind of side quest. So because I'm like, okay, so I'm going to stop that. I'm just going to get back to doing my scanning, get through that, and then go look for, because I already found 2 artifacts. Now I need to find another one. So
I'm at 3
and just get
right
back
now.
into this. Huh?
I'm at 3 or 4 right now.
Okay, so yeah, so that's where I'm just gonna start doing that after I get off of here. I'm finna finish doing what I'm doing and then get back on it. So yeah, no, I really enjoy it. It is not perfect by no means, but but I agree with you 100%, because I am a person that could not get into Skyrim. I bought it numerous times. I bought it 6 times. I just bought it recently because of this crazy mod that there's that's from this Novice on PC, and I already had it on Windows and Xbox, but I needed to have the Steam version, so I went ahead and bought that, and then I implemented and put that crazy upgrade mod in, and it does make a big difference on how I'm now started to play Skyrim. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I think I can get into it. And then it's all because of Starfield, because of the fact that I'm used to now understanding how it's structured. And I could not figure it out, the life of me, of why I could not get into Skyrim. And that was, I think, one of the reasons, because I wasn't used to that system.
So you got into the groove on how their games work, and so you have realistic expectations associated with it, and now you can go, okay, now I can let my guard down as a gamer and invest the time. I got you. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with that. So I will now finally give Skyrim some run, some love, and see what everybody talked about it being one of the best games ever made. But yeah, no, Starfield I think is great. I think it should be nominated for Game of the Year. I think it should squeak in, me personally. And with some of the games out there, but I do think that it should squeak in to be a nomination, not win Game of the Year, but at least be nominated. I think that just how big that game is a testament in how it plays. And like you said, the less bugs. When you get, and you know how I like to go and almost break games.
I'll go into the craziest, deepest, darkest pit of hell somewhere where a dev is kind of just there. They're at the end. They're like, nobody's not going to go here. I'm not worried about it.
They would be watching you and going, "What? Don't do that. Don't. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that?"
And I'll go there. I did it with Cyberpunk. I did it with The Witcher. I do it with all the big open world Assassin's Creed. And they have them there in Starfield too, where you go into certain areas and, like you said, them NPCs be looking rough, and the game is like, you ain't supposed to be here, but whatever, welcome. But yeah, it's very well polished for other Bethesda games that I have played. So. Yeah, I enjoy the hell out of it. I think it's a great game. I think it's a great game. Not the best game I've ever played, but I think it's a really good, solid game and a great new IP for Xbox.
Well, and not to put words into your mouth, but it's important to point this out: is you like games with a lot of meat on the bone. Yes, you like a lot of content in regards to that. That being said, I like games that get more to the point sometimes.
Yes.
So. But it's important to point that out, is the fact that we're both finding enjoyment out of it, and we have different values of what we set on our games. It says a lot about the game itself in regards to that. So, yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I mean, it's not the Xbox exclusive I'm playing the most of right now, to be honest with you.
Right, and that's what we got to get to next. That Forza, baby. What do you think about it, man? I know that it. They already gave the indication of some of the things that was going to be missing in this iteration, and I believe that was one of the reasons why I got knocked down. Which versions have you played? The Xbox version and the PC version, or and what do you think about the differences between both, and just your overall thoughts about Forza, man, Motorsport?
Yeah, so I've played it on a full blown sim on PC. Calibrating my friend's setup. Setting up racers is not the easiest thing on PC. If you have multiple screens, or you have an ultra wide, or but is one of the more painless things outside of calibrating the wheel. Calibrating the wheel is a challenge. You have to get it right. If you don't get it right, you don't know what's going on, and it's actually harder to control with a wheel if it's not done right. So that's very important. But yeah, I spent outside of getting it dialed in, that took a couple hours. I spent about 3 hours with it on a full-blown sim. I'm sold. I want to go on a sim on the game. At home, I've been doing it with just controller on my Series X, and they nailed it. I mean, that's as simple as that. They nailed it. It's interesting. It's one of the few times, like, I never really go out there and see the average community, what people are saying, but this was kind of different because I'm trying to decide which wheel I'm going to get down the road for this. So I was looking up Forza and wheels online just to see what people are using, see what people's takes are on it. It was really kind of hard to get a take on the wheel in Forza, but it was interesting seeing the community of people. Anything that people are anti-Forza, that are pro-Gran Turismo, to a lot of the sim community that are iRacer fans pushing that over Forza. And it's interesting to see where all that dust settles. Does that make sense? We've given a little bit of time, and now people have access to it, right? And now, like, there's the early access people, and then people that had the actual access, the complete game, and it's accessible to everyone. It's interesting to see how all the narratives change that are, say, pro Gran Turismo, right? Like, nothing can beat Gran Turismo, best sim racer ever, right? That sort of mentality. How, like, their comment sections are completely called out now, if you get where I'm going with that. Now that people actually had their hands on the product, and it's interesting to see the iRacer kind of guys are going, oh, this isn't arcade sim is what they were trying to call it. This is not that, right? Because if you take Horizon, that's an arcade sim, right? It's a simulation-based controls, but it's very arcadey in how they implement it, if that makes any sense, right? So that's an arcade sim. Motorsport is a sim. in regards to that. And so to see the iRacer people to go, like, they were a little bit offended by Forza, and then they put a little more time into it, and they get their wheels dialed in, and they get everything all figured out. They're like, oh, no, I was totally wrong about this game. This is a sim. In regards to that. So it's interesting to see all that landscape change. For me, the game plays awesome. One of I think the good things is when you play a game like that and they have your car in it, your personal car that you own in the game. I always use that as a metric how close they are, and I've had some unique experiences. I do have access to a track. I've done track days on my own personal car, so I had a good idea where the limits are and how all that stuff works. And it's spot on. It handles exactly how it should in regards to that. So, yeah, I've been very, very happy with it. And then the online play is awesome. It was mind blown how good the online play is. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to do that today. I mean tonight. It'll be today or tonight. So I'm gonna be playing some Halo, some and I'll probably and some Forza, and then I'll end it probably with some Starfield. That's where my gaming session will be today.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you liking it?
Oh my God, yeah. Like it's the only game that's taking me off of Forza, and I mean it's taking me off of Starfield. And what's crazy is that you know how much I love Cyberpunk. I bought Cyberpunk the DLC day one.
I'm sure you have like 6 different copies of the game.
I know. I got 3, but
I'm off by 3.
No, I got 2. I'm sorry, I got 2. I got the PC version and I got the Xbox version. Yeah, I got 2. Okay. But yeah. No, I don't got 6. That's Tekken, sucker. Anyway, but yeah, I just between Starfield and Forza, it blows my mind. Like, because I mean, I started playing Lies of P. I like that, but that's something that's going to take me a little bit of time. I can only take so many of those games like that. Elden Ring got me into wanting to like the genre. I get it, but I can only do those games ever so often. So I'll get to that later. And then Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. Oh my God, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? You know I am about my fighters, but I just haven't had the time. I have not had the time doing with stuff with family, and then just my gaming sessions with playing this. I just locked into those 2 games right now. So Forza's great. It feels better than it's ever felt. I have not done the online yet. I mean, you and Bot and others, but Bot primarily is talking about now is the time to jump in.
We'll do a round. We're not going to stream it. Let's do a round after the podcast. Let's just party up and we'll do a race.
Well, let me get something to eat first because I haven't ate anything.
Oh, it's going to take
It'll
take half an hour to get into a match, anyways.
Oh, so I can eat. Well, okay.
So
cool.
we get in the queue, load up, and we'll sort it all out.
Okay, all right, I'm with it.
But no, I'm as an Xbox owner, like, I know there's always a lot of noise out there, like they only have Gears, Forza, and Halo, right? Like,
yeah.
But that's why I buy an Xbox. I'm sorry. It's the controller, it's the ecosystem, and it's those main staple games. And anything else, obviously, I'm going to give it a shot, and Game Pass is part of that equation to some degree. And I've been waiting for this game for a long time. In regards to that, I do think there's a little bit of issue with tracks. There's not very many tracks on this one. I do have a problem with that.
Not as many tracks.
Yeah, and that needs to be marked down, right? And then I do have questions on how they're going to build the game out long term, because Forza had always been like clockwork. Every other year, got a motorsport, right? And they did improvements on the overall game, the design of the game, the cars, the whole 9 yards, and it's been iterative like that. So are they going to just keep doing it with this same sort of way every other year? Maybe it's not Forza Motorsport, whatever. It's just DLC, right? But it upgrades the way they do ray tracing. It upgrades, all these other elements that make the game more pretty in regards to that, along with a bigger car roster over time. My question is, how are they going to manage the game over time? And I don't think we have real answers for that. That's where my only concern is.
Yeah, no, I don't have a concern with that. I mean, they've made it clear that where their plan was, and I think that's when they're going to implement more. Because this is going to be probably this is probably the only Forza that's going to come out, motorsport that's going to come out this generation. So I think that they're going to. I mean, it's going to be extensive. I think, I don't know about um, were they going to do the same thing like they were going to do with Halo Infinite? Because I think Halo Infinite has changed up. But I think that they've learned from those mistakes that was going on that happened with Halo Infinite, and I think that they'll improve on that. And then on top of that, it's Turn 10. Turn 10, if anything, if any studio from Xbox that does not need to be questioned, it's Turn 10.
They have a great track record. I'm not questioning it. I just don't know what form it takes. What's the final form? I guess is what it is. Because if you look at Playground Games doing Forza Horizon, I think they're on update 20.
Something like that, yeah. Crazy.
They're like clockwork.
There was just an update.
They're like clockwork, doing different packs, different style races. Like, that game is flush with content that I can't keep up with. So if they manage it like that in a track racer thing, in Turn 10's way, but my thing is, I want upgrades to the graphics and the car handling and all that sort of stuff every other year, because that's how they've done it in the past. Mm-hmm. That's what I want. So maybe that's what they did. Maybe the whole point of rebuilding this engine and stuff like this is where they're at right now. They'll be able to implement more things and more optimizations down the road that doesn't break the whole entire game, but they had to build it out in a very particular way. Maybe that's the grand vision of everything, and I'm cool if that's the grand vision. I am totally down with that. But we'll see where it all goes. Just right now, as a current product, I think we're both happy with it, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm very pleased with it. Yeah, so. I'm very pleased. Is it? I think I forget what the score was from the Metacritic. I think it was like a 85, 87, between 85 and 87. That's fair. That's fine. I was thinking it was going to be a 90, but I mean, there was like you alluded to, there was a few hiccups right there, like right there that docked it with the tracks. The time that it takes, but with the online things like that. Now, docking because of no split screen is asinine in 2023. That's ridiculous. But a few things like, I'm saying I would give the game an 88 if I was giving it a score or something like that, an 88. And I think by the time that the product is done, before they go to the next one, I'm going to probably give it a 95. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I like I said, I have utmost faith in the Turn 10 and their abilities to make it right on everything. So, but no, I enjoy both games a lot.
Well, does that raise a question though? So, would you say the way people rate games is out of date?
Oh,
because games as a service is a thing, right? So,
right.
And it's a very prominent thing. So the question is, what you give a rating in a game at launch sticks for the life of the game, especially with the internet, right? Like that's a sin. That's a sin they have to wear on their sleeve the whole entire existence of the game, no matter how it launches. But do you think we need to get to a point where maybe gamers should hold reviewers responsible for reviewing products after DLCs and where it's at?
Yes. No question.
Is that a service that's being missed that people are not handling?
Right. Because I mean, look at Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves should be and this is the one thing that pisses me off about certain like games that they include and don't include in the VGAs. And I understand this is all just opinionated opinions, and I've said this a million times where look, reviewers don't answer for how I play games or how I enjoy games.
No.
But the fact of it is that it's there, and as us being content creators, we have to talk about these things. And when you look back and you go to seeing Sea of Thieves was being like a 60 rated game on Metacritic when it first launched, and then it's not even implemented into the VGA's continuance games of the year when the game is one of the more popular games out there is bizarro world to me. And I would guarantee you that Sea of Thieves would be a high 80s Metacritic game because it's highly rated now. And, you know, just go forth and you look at a game like Overwatch that won Game of the Year, and now you look at Overwatch and it's kind of like on a decline at this point. And so you would go back and do that. I think they should do, like you said, do that yearly for games as a service titles to get people to get a better understanding of where these were when they first came out, because none of those games ever come out to be, you know, perfect. And then where they are at their height of their powers, and then see if they're on a decline or not.
Well, some people also don't like changes with DLC, as they nerf things or they buff certain things, and it does change your view and enjoyment of a product. And that has value I can talk from a development standpoint of view. Like, okay, we make these changes because we felt like they were necessary. And then now you're going, oh wait, they didn't like this. Right. And no one's really taking the time. You hear a lot of noise on the internet. Right. So a lot of people not articulating their points. Some people, you know, like, are they giving it a fair chance or are they not? Like, it's hard to judge these things. So yeah, it's something to kind of point out, like, you know, these sites and I would say magazines existed back in our day, right? They existed because games were expensive. Is that fair?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, and so you want to know what you invest in. Or even like when I grew up, like, you know, on a weekend, I was only renting a game. We were renting multiple games on a weekend. I rented a game, and that's what I got to play that weekend. Either games I owned or that rental that I had, right?
Yes.
And so you wanted to know if the game was worth your time or not, right? Because I don't know if my parents are going to let me rent a game next weekend. You know what I mean? I remember like remember the light bazooka from Nintendo?
Oh yeah.
We rented that one. My dad would thought, like, oh man, like, because like anytime you rent hardware, it's a little more expensive, right?
Yeah.
So he thought he was doing a treat for me because I thought, like, because he saw me light up by it, I'm like, that's kind of cool, right? And then it shows up and my shoulder's out of socket. I got this permanent eye squint looking through the scope on it. Yeah. And I had fun with like the Tetris game and stuff like that, but I could only play it so long. And so my dad was like a little disappointed on it because I think he was going to buy it for me. That it was going to be a gift, but I think he was glad that he rented it and, like, you know, maybe not get that, right? So yeah, he got burnt when they invested in a Power Glove. for me.
You got the Power Glove? Oh man.
Yeah.
I got to play the Power Glove. You know, Nintendo used to come out here to the fairgrounds and used to have a big Nintendo like tournament thing. Okay. And so I got to play the thing, and yeah, it was the thought of it was dope, but you could tell that it was not ready for prime time, but it was still the premise was cool. But yeah, no, there was no way that I could talk my mom to get, or my grandparents to get that for me for the price that it was.
I think family members all pitched in.
To get that,
and I wanted to use it, like, but you hold your arm up like this, trying to keep it going.
The Michael Jackson glove, as I used to call it, yeah. So
and then like A and B button were squeezing the thumb and index finger, and
all the wires. Yeah,
what's funny is I had such scrawny hands back then, right? So I go to put it through the glove. It's meant to be universal fit. And I go to bend it, and you have to like stretch through all the slack in the glove before the button would activate. It was just a bad experience overall.
You had them Burger King hands, a little tiny Junior Whopper Junior hands. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, Junior Whopper fingers, man. It was.
Oh man, that is great.
Yeah, but no, it. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is. I don't know. I was talking about Super Scope 6. I don't know what we're talking about, but
yeah, we were just talking about the the review situation.
Oh yeah, the reviews. Yeah.
Yeah, the reviews. Yeah. So
I don't know.
I got you. You got old man on me, but that's all right.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it happens. But yeah, no, I do enjoy it. But yeah, no, I think that what you said would be perfect, would be ideal. Because like a game like Warframe, when that game first came out,
Yeah.
oh my God, what Warframe is now. And then you look at a game like ESO. Like, I mean, look at where EOS, because I remember when I first got ESO and I was like, I'm trying to get through it, but now like my homeboy who still plays ESO, like where it is now, I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. But I mean, it's like, but yeah, no, they need to do that. But it's again, there's a certain demographic from the media that only wants to cater to one demographic of game, and that's the single player game. And that to me is just not right.
Yeah.
Because and I understand that they don't want people to forget about how important single player games are, which they are, but it's almost to a point that they're trying to force you to still love single player games, and that's not how it should be. Just do it right. Anyway. Yeah. All right, man. I'm ready to get out of here. I got to eat something, man. I got to do this. I got to do it. So
okay, well, let people know where to get meet you and hang out with you and all that stuff. So
no. I'm not just gonna say just hit the button and we out. I'm just
you're looking hungry, man. You're looking hungry,
bro. I'm looking hungry, man. Where can they find you at, Don? You know what I'm saying? Let everybody know all the stuff that you do, all the cool things that you do with the streaming wise, all of that. We watched a lot of the gameplay. I got to play some Gears again, man. I got to go through that story mode again just to play that in Hive Busters. Man, this game is so damn beautiful. God, I love the hell out of it.
I don't know. I can't remember who I was taking. I was taking somebody through it. I think it was Viper. We're going through. Oh yeah, because he like didn't really give it like the time of day. I'm like, dude, like, how do we just do Hive Busters? Because it's a smaller product. But
right, yeah.
But yeah, the best thing to do if you're interested in live content, the Dawn Gaming Live, it's literally in the title of my channel, is where all my live content. So when I do a podcast on my channel, when I'm doing live stream of gameplay and interacting with you guys, it's there. I know not everyone's into live content. That's why there's a separate channel specifically for that type of content. And then I have another channel, which is the Dawn KTR. Which is more of my talking head videos, reviews. Really, it's anything gaming, right? Like, as somebody who wears that developer hat, you're involved in all things gaming, right? And so I try to just interact with all that sort of stuff. So that is the channel where that sort of stuff is happening, and I'm building out a lot of stuff there. So when content hits, you'll start seeing content being a little more consistent over there. I just don't want to say when it's coming down, just because I want to build out a couple things before product gets launched on there again. And then occasionally you'll see me on other podcasts and stuff like that, but that's always case by case basis. It's usually last minute, and it's usually I don't usually put myself out there like that. So if I get the invite, I'll definitely make the effort to show up in regards to that, but I just can't do it on a weekly basis like a lot of other people do. I just don't have enough time between my own studio, my working on 2 video games, and doing all my content on YouTube. It's just hard to keep up with that on a weekly basis. So
all right, and as usual, you guys, if you haven't now followed the channel KMega405, please do. You can catch me on Twitter at KMega4. I also have a TikTok. I'm trying to bring in more content over there at the same name, KMega405.
Is that where you do the dances?
No, I haven't done no dances, and I will not do a dance. I will do. I think about streaming some lips at some point. Do a little bit of that, seeing if you think if KMega got the singing chops. Yeah, I will start doing that here once we get people together to start doing lips again. But other than that, yeah, man, Fight Night Sunday has been on hiatus for a little while. It will come back for sure. Hopefully maybe here within the month or so. There's Naruto Connections that comes out next month. And then the Killer Instinct major update will be here within, I believe, next month.
What's
So I will
included in
definitely,
that? What's included in the update?
They're gonna make it 4K. The frames. They're gonna redefine all different types of stuff. They was like they're gonna make it next gen.
So
and then
like
I think
native 4K.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, all the bells and whistles, and then the quality of life. Have it to where it just plays, feels better, looks better, all that, and then they're going to add a couple of more characters later on down the line. They said so, and so I think this is all the process of them getting the servers and everything back solid to where they can start working on the second Killer Instinct. So that's really, really, really good. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, so Fight Night will definitely be coming back. I know I've been slacking on my fighters, guys. I know it. But I will get that back. And so, hope you guys just, thank you for being patient. And then of course the GRG podcast every Friday night. We will have Baron, coming through from 101 from level 1 gaming.
Okay, that'd be good.
Yeah, so that'll be really good. If you wanted to check last week's incredible, crazy, I don't mean incredible in a good way, incredible show with King Thrash. If you want to see that and see Sir X-Man cuss a person out, that is the place to be.
So you went full old man?
Oh yeah, Sir X-Man. I've never heard of Sir X-Man talk to somebody that way. But it was a wild show. It was one of the wildest ones I've done in a long time, and even everybody was pretty frustrated.
I have a hard time watching gamers treat each other like that.
Yeah,
it's really hard for me to watch.
People was being respectful for them. Being respectful to a degree, but when it started getting out of hand, when he started disrespecting everybody else by saying that they weren't gamers and they didn't know, that's when it started going off the rails. And then I reeled it back in and let him say some of the most asinine things that I've ever heard in my life. And then we proved the point by showing the stuff that he was talking about, and then to debunk it, and he still was, I don't know, it was bizarre, it was wild, it was a wild show. But yeah, if you want to check that out, you definitely can. Of course, I do the crossover with me and Ham Solo, and then of course I got to try to keep doing this with my brother. You know what I'm saying? We will keep it. Ain't no try to it. It's just making sure that we do it on time, or try to get structured again.
The goal is once a month. For Devin the Gamer.
We did say every 2 weeks, but you know what I'm saying, if whatever the case may be, but Devin the Gamer will not die. It's just that we just got to find the time.
If we do 12 episodes next year, we've outdone this year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I'm just pointing that
absolutely.
out.
Absolutely. We'll get it to where it's right. But yeah, so don't ever get it twisted. If you don't see Devin the Gamer, it doesn't mean that it's gone or anything like that.
There's no beef, none of that crap.
There's no beef or nothing like that. So yeah, just gotta send Don the bat signal, and then he lets me know yay or nay, and then we just get to it. But
yeah,
what I'm saying, that's it.
But and then I'm gonna get Kid Mega gaming a little bit more and streaming a little bit more.
I'm
working on him, guys. Because I know he's way more entertaining to watch streaming than myself. So
stop it.
So as I said, it looks like I took too many painkillers and just sitting there with a look on my face.
You was grimacing when I was watching you play Starfield. I said, is he not liking it? That's why I asked.
There's high and low moments, but yeah. but we'll get Mega gaming a lot more. He gets shy.
Yeah.
This man right here.
I do.
He gets shy when it's any sort of campaign. If it's not PvP and he also gets if it's not PvP he's really good at, he also kind of he gets a little more shy. Not saying he won't do it, but he gets shy. So
yeah,
give the man some encouragement. Hit some thumbs up when you guys see this video on his channel. And then we're gonna also divide little smaller clips. You'll see both on both me and Mega's channel. So I'm heading that up for us. So. If you guys like that sort of content of just like a little 10-minute thing of the podcast, maybe not watch the whole thing, let us know. Let us know in the comments down below, because if it works, we'll keep doing it. If it doesn't, well, there's other places we can spend our time to try to become more entertaining for you guys. So,
yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna
I'm gonna start putting those clips on TikTok too. I'm gonna start doing that as well. So
okay,
just letting you know.
Cool. Well, I'm not allowed on China anyway, so.
Oh, stop it! All right, now it's definitely time to get out of here, man. Thank you guys so much.
All right, later, guys.
Thanks, man.